English car brand Jaguar is the latest brand to Bud Light itself on fire. Jaguar have always stood for a sort of James Bondy type of luxury and class. It's the sort of car that has a sexy stylishness to any midlife crisis. You're not allowed to slap your secretary on the bum anymore, but you can buy a red Jaguar and rev it near her bum. But all that is out the window. The latest advert puts the trans in transportation. It's part of a rebranding that sees the iconic car company forget about selling to boring, pale, stale males and instead focus on that lucrative, bald, transgender Somalian asylum seeker market. Take a look at this. They say copy nothing in this advert. Delete ordinary. I think it needs to delete his hard drive. They say copy nothing, but the ad then copies every single other cliched virtue signalling diversity ad from the last decade. Yeah. It's so out of date, and it completely ignores Jaguar cars or the people who might buy them. The advert has absolutely tanked. It's like they said to Bud Light, "Hold my beer." But the Jaguar boss, who called for it, he's called Raw Dong Glover. If you put a different accent on that, if you say those letters in a slightly different way, you get a slightly different Raw Dong Glover. He's accused the critics of the advert of vile hatred and intolerance. Well, yeah, you can report us to the police for hate crime, but we're still not going to buy a Jaguar. I mean, I just feel this advert, they're like, oh, we're so new. It's like, man, it would have been new maybe 50 years ago.
I mean, Elon Musk, my best mate, because Errol, his father's on my show all the time, what he said is that, do you sell cars? Because not a single car is featured in this ad. And it's quite sad, because you remember John Prescott, the great John Prescott, died just a few days ago. And he was famously 2 Jags. You might remember, he got 2 Jags. And so he will be spinning now in his grave as a result of this advert.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, Jaguars, the E-Type Jaguar from the 60s, you know, they've always had this sort of classic, quintessentially English, you know, real stylishness and sexiness, and I feel like they've thrown all of that out the window. And also, get a load of this, Nicholas, they're going to double. They're doubling. They're relaunching with an all-electric lineup, and it's going to be twice the cost.
Shocking.
Twice the cost.
This is the most...
I would buy it as half.
This is the most damaging thing done to a car since Thelma and Louise, you know. But, I mean, I mean, I don't want to be too negative, just to balance the conversation. If enough men who wear dresses buy the car, they might still pull this off. But speaking of doubling down, up until yesterday, we had the woke brigade telling us, date a lady with a penis, or you are intolerant. Now they're telling us, buy a Jaguar, or you are intolerant. I don't think it's... And some people say, any publicity is good publicity, but this is not about engagement harvesting on Twitter or clickbait. Ultimately, you want to buy that car, and a car is something that you identify with. It has to say something about your status, your spirit, your personality. It's just like your watch.
Never mind, mine's just a car I can afford.
Yeah, same here. But you know, if you were to, I think they might have been, this ad agency might have been penetrated by Alfa Romeo, for example. If you look at their logo,
I think they have penetrated by some other stuff.
I was waiting for that line. It's like, burn and banning, eat your heart out. I love it. The reality is this: if you want to draw a crowd, start a fight, P.T. Barnum, the best showman of all. So many people are talking about this ad. It's actually owned by Tata, a huge company.
And I think people will be saying Tata to Jaguar. I mean, this is like say there's no such thing as bad publicity. I mean, I think Gary Glitter would disagree. Also, it's interesting that Jaguar support transitioning at work, but I think that might be because it's easier to get male engineers to transition than it is to find female engineers. I'm not sure. It's just a theory I'm working on.